Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. So I'll be going over today's price action, and it was a pretty crazy day, a pretty expensive day, but I didn't take any trades, and I'll be going over why. But overall I kind of hesitated just because I didn't know enough at the time. I'll explain a bit better when we get to it. But alright, so let's get into it. So looking at the news calendar today, we had news at 8:30 in the morning. That means I would start looking for setups at around that time. Then when we're doing our top-down analysis, I can go to my journal here. We still had this weekly SMT intact. However, now, at least at the start, right before the session, we were revisiting that order block, which isn't really what I wanted to see happen. Normally, when we tap into that order block, I don't expect us to revisit it again before going lower. And here we are tapping again. But nonetheless, still kind of this higher time frame bearish SMT in play. When we go to the daily chart, we're still in this bearish range. However, this daily fair value gap we had right here, we were just dancing around it, and it seemed like we were respecting it, but then these last couple of days, price really shot up and disrespected it. And I was saying the next obvious target for it to hit would be the swing high, which it did hit. So now that it hit that, it will be easy to kind of dissect what's happening on the intermediate term time frame, as to see if we are looking for longs or shorts. But normally after a big move like this and taking out this swing high liquidity, we can normally see a retrace back into the range of some sorts before moving higher if we are in fact bullish. However, if we are still bearish, we would expect this gap or this liquidity to push price lower. Alright. We have this previous week high SMT when we drop down to the 6-hour chart, which is something to keep in mind. And then when we go down to the 90-minute chart, we are at a premium of the range, of this range. And we took out this daily liquidity, and we also have a previous day high SMT, because YM already closed above previous day high, and ES and NQ haven't taken it out yet. So overall, the play for today was to look for sells back into the range. My eyes immediately went to this untapped 90-minute fair value gap with these equal lows resting right here. So that was my game plan for today, was to look for low time frame SMTs to take it to that target here, because from here we would want to see what price does, but it could move higher from here. So that was kind of it. And then I put here, we had a previous session high SMT. YM closed above previous session high. ES closed above previous session high, but NQ didn't close above it. That's a valid SMT. And as I have here annotated, when we had that change in state of delivery right here, I was going to enter, but it hadn't formed just yet. As you can see, this last candle here almost triggered an entry, but it didn't. Right, so going into today, what happened? This was the 90-minute target I was looking for at the start. These equal lows slash 90-minute fair value gap, and at the time of doing the pre-market, price was like floating up around here. So this was like a 2.2R trade idea to this low, which was fine. But then it didn't close, and on that 9 a.m. candle, so the entry candle was at 9:15. So that means the entry would have been right on 9:30 New York open. And price started really displacing hard, right before 9:30. So then at the time of where I would have entered, price would have looked something like this. It would have had, with the little fee or spread of entering, my risk to reward would have been less than a 1R to my 90-minute fair value gap target. So, and this, keep in mind, is all happening, within seconds of each other. So this is kind of like quick thinking and decision making. But I saw that I had a negative risk to reward to my fair value gap target, and also the entry was right on 9:30 a.m. and I wasn't sure if I should have risked normal amount or if I should have halved my risk. So I was overall like a bit indecisive as to what I should do, because all the trades I've taken thus far this year have been during market hours. I haven't taken a pre-market trade yet, so I was a bit unknowledgeable when it came to like what should I be risking, and so it wasn't something that I had set in stone yet. Hence why I hesitated, and then before I knew it, price immediately opened and ripped lower. So after speaking with Ethan, who is practically like my mentor and the person that I how I learned how to trade from, I realized a few things that I should do moving forward. So one of them is I can enter pre-market on a 15-minute SMT, and I can risk normal because it's a 15-minute entry logic. Normally you don't see so much volatility on the 15-minute that it takes out your position and then runs without you. That happens more on the 5-minute. So as long as I'm entering with a 15-minute SMT logic to it, I can risk a normal amount. Another thing to keep in mind is if my entry would be right at 9:30 open, I have to enter a few seconds before 9:30 to not get a big like a bad entry or a bad fill. And another thing, which is what Ethan did, Ethan was also looking to take it to this 90-minute fair value gap target up here, and then it became like a 1R trade. But he took it nonetheless, and his idea was just to go break even when it hits this point and see if price wanted to go lower. So that's something that I can do moving forward, is if I have a reason to see, like if there's a reason that price can also go lower from my target, I can just use that target to go break even and then kind of monitor what price does. But overall, I mean, price absolutely collapsed on itself and just went to previous daily low, which was it would have been like a 4.6R trade. Anyway, so I understand why I didn't enter, because I wasn't like didn't have the right kind of like confidence behind what I was doing, or I didn't have like the knowledge to kind of be fully to have good conviction over the setup. But boy, does it sting to see a 4.6R trade run without you. Even though it was exactly what I was looking for, I was looking for shorts back into the range. I just had no idea it was going to be this aggressive. Right, so that's all I can really do is, note down what I can do to better myself moving forward and just take it one day at a time. It isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. It's kind of cringe to say, but whatever. So, alright, so now like just looking at price now, like if I was gonna go into tomorrow, this little rectangle here, that's the daily fair value gap. And as you can see, it's respected it really well. I mean, come up here, sweep the liquidity, retested it and then just completely displaced lower. So this has me believing that, the higher time frame narrative is still in play, even though we had some really strong short-term bullishness. This was the more refined 90-minute range before the session, but now after this big displacement, I would say that now this is the new range we're looking at. Something like this. Let me take this fair value gap out. Alright, so something like this now is what I'm looking at. And as you can see, price is just respecting that daily gap really well, displacing from there. So overall, what I was expecting to get going into tomorrow would be perhaps for price to, come back into the range, into like this gap, and maybe if we have an SMT, take it lower because of the just overall how heavy price has been to the downside. Anyway, so that was it for this day. Hope this was insightful. Just it's important to have these kind of reflecting days on what you can do better moving forward. As I can see, I have a whole section on my journal, which is just what can I do to improve. And these were the things I had listed about taking a 1 hour trade if I can just go break even, if there is reason to look for low prices, risk a normal amount on pre-market trades as long as it's a 15-minute trade, and also when entering at 9:30 a.m. have to enter a few seconds before to get a decent fill. So these were things I didn't know going into the session that kept me from being a part of today's move, but now that the day has passed and I spoke to Ethan and whatnot, these are the things I'm looking out for moving forward. Anyway, I think I'm kind of repeating myself. So hope this was insightful, and I'll see you all tomorrow. See ya.